Hello, this is Dr. Roger Bromé, PsycheClips, here to talk to you about New Year's resolutions. Changing behavior is a difficult thing, and so I'm doing some of these PsycheClips to give little tips and things like that on how to change behavior or refine behavior or enhance your performance in your life and in your um, in your sport, whatever it is you want to change. If you like these site clips, please like, subscribe, and share the site clips you like with other people. Get the message out there and expose people to these ideas I hope are helping you. So I want to talk about New Year's resolutions because it's January 13th. And January 13th is far enough into January that by now some people may have even abandoned their New Year's resolution, whatever it might be. Other people might be still doing it and doing great, and then others might be struggling a little bit with getting it done. They're still getting it done, but now they're finding it more and more difficult. One thing that I've learned about perseverance, and I learned this as an endurance athlete, as a cyclist, when I would hill climb the Utah mountains, I would find that once my legs were on fire, my lungs were on fire, it sure would be a lot easier just to turn around and go back down the hill and feel the wind in your face and let the pain go. But in order to make those goals and to especially make those climbs that take 30 minutes, an hour, something like that, it takes a lot of mental toughness to do that. And a lot of that is involving self-talk and self-negotiation. I want to talk a little bit today about deliberate procrastination. Now, what I mean by deliberate procrastination works against you most of the time in meeting your goals. Some people do use procrastination as a positive thing. They work maybe a little bit more seriously, a little bit more focused when they're under pressure. So they deliberately procrastinate things, and then when it becomes the last minute, they kind of feel that arousal and they feel that focus and they get things done. And there have been times when I've experienced that myself. But I'm talking about another kind of procrastination. What I'm talking about is like when I would be on one of these hill climbs in one of the Utah Canyon roads, um, my legs were hurting, my back was hurting, my feet were hurting, everything just was hurting. And so there's way more reasons to turn around and go back down the hill than to keep climbing, except that you set this goal, you know. So I'd set a goal maybe to climb to a certain summit or whatever. What I would do is I would procrastinate the decision to turn around. So what I would do is I would look up the road a ways to a reasonable goal, a sub goal or an enabling goal is what you might call it. And I would say, okay, when I get up to that next bridge, or when I get up to that next tree, or whatever the landmark is that I chose, I'll decide then whether or not I'm going to turn around. But right now, the pain is at around a 7, around an 8. It's really not the worst I've ever had, so I think I can keep going, and I would continue to push toward that. When I would get there, then I would start to reevaluate. The self-talk would be, how bad's the pain? How much is the fatigue? Do you think you can still go further? The other thing that I would do is I would install a reward system. So what I would do is when I would reach that goal, that sub goal, maybe to the next bridge or the next sign or whatever, that would be the time that I would take a squirt of water. I would maybe take a gel or a gummy, something like that to acknowledge to myself that I had achieved that sub goal and I'd won that. And then I would start the negotiation on quitting again and going back down the hill. I'd like you to try this on your New Year's resolution when you feel moments of temptation, and maybe you've decided that you're going to diet and lose some pounds. Maybe you've decided that you're going to, get on the treadmill and start getting some more exercise, or you're going to go out for a walk. Maybe what your resolution is that you're going to take a 30-minute walk at least once a day. Well, at some point you're going to run into a day where everything's really, really busy, and you're going to say, well, I really don't have, you're going to start in with the temptation. I really don't have the time for the 30-minute walk, or gosh, I'm just really not feeling good today. I don't feel like going out for the 30-minute walk. That's the time to start that self-talk and negotiation. Now, you've already made a plan to go. And of course, if you've watched my other site clips, you've already put your, situated everything else so that you don't have any other extra barriers to going. But now it's just motivation. You really don't have the full motivation to get out there. One thing to do is start to negotiate yourself, is say, okay, you know what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go out for 30 minutes today, but I'm going to take a 10-minute walk. And when I get in 10 minutes into this walk, whether it's on the treadmill or out in the neighborhood or whatever it is, when I get to 10 minutes, I will renegotiate whether or not I'm going to come home. Or whether or not I'm going to quit. Now, on the treadmill, it's just a matter of stepping off after 10 minutes. But let's say, for instance, if you're going to go out and you're going to go for a 10-minute walk, if you walk for 10 minutes in one direction, you've committed yourself to 20 minutes. That's not even a bad thing. But what I want you to do is I want you to procrastinate the decision to quit. Procrastinate the decision to have that cookie. Procrastinate the decision to crack that beer open. At that point, and that's a good example for me, that when I do a weight cut, I usually need to stay away from beer because it just puts weight on me too easily. So when I do a weight cut, there are some days, whether it's after cutting the lawn or after doing something else, where I typically will sit down and have a cold beer and that kind of thing. And what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I get done cutting the lawn, and I go inside and thinking, yeah, I really want to have that beer, but I'm trying to cut weight. So what I will do is I'll procrastinate that decision. I'll negotiate with myself and I'll say, look, you can have a glass of ice water, sit down with some cold water, get rehydrated, but don't have that beer for at least 30 minutes. Put that off. Then what I do is when I realize that 30 minutes has gone by, I'll say, oh, well, I was going to make the decision on whether or not I'm going to have that beer. Do I even want it anymore? If I've lost the craving altogether, I won. But if I go, yeah, I'm still kind of thinking I want to kind of have that beer, then what I can do is I can say, you know what, give it 30 more minutes. Have another glass of water, give it 30 more minutes. And after 30 more minutes, it will be 60 minutes. And if you still want that beer, then you can make that decision then. And I will play this out over and over and over until I just really don't feel like having one anymore. The other side of it is if I do get to the point where I say, you know what, it's been 60 minutes, I'm going to have one. It's the same thing as I would do on a hill climb. If it's just one of those days where, yeah, I wanted to get to the summit, but no, I'm just not going to make it today. I'm going to turn around. Then you need to look back at all of those deals that you made with yourself as tiny little victories that are going toward your resolution. So what I want you to do is consider willfully procrastinating the decision to reverse on your resolution. And if you do end up backsliding on your resolution or, slipping up, whatever it is, don't condemn yourself over it. Get back up and start the resolution over again. I want you to think about your New Year's resolution this way. It's 2023, and you have 365 days in 2023 to do your resolution. Do your resolution every day. Take it one day at a time, and don't worry about a day where you say, well, I was going to cut this out, but now I found myself having it, or I slipped up and I didn't have the willpower, all that kind of stuff. Don't worry about it. Just start over and start with the resolution to keep going, because the resolution is not about keeping it perfect. It's about changing the big picture for yourself. So continue to work on changing that big picture behavior. Don't condemn yourself for a couple of backslides. And remember, you can always renegotiate yourself. Just be your own salesperson and keep negotiating that resolution to yourself, and keep selling yourself on the resolution. And when you have those moments of weakness and stuff like that, Do something to remove yourself from the situation, procrastinate the decision to make that backslide, and just keep moving forward. This is Dr. Roger Bromé with PsycheClips. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I hope it helps and you will like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.